And now to finish up this section, we're going to do two more examples. This one's example number 3 in the textbook on page 522. It says, Sandy invests $10,000 in a savings account, earning 4.5% annual interest compounded quarterly. What's the value of the investment after 3 years? This formula right here is what you use for compounded interest. So let's get that written over here on our piece of paper. It's example number 3. A of t is equal to the principal 1 plus r over n raised to the nt power. Now let's explain what these letters are. This just means the amount after so much time. So this is basically your ending amount of money, okay? The P is what in math terms, in banking terms, we call principal, which just means the amount you started with. So in this example, she started with $10,000, okay? The R is the rate that she's investing this in. You got to change it to a decimal. It was 4.5%, so we moved the decimal 2 places over. It's 0.045 now. The N is the how often it's going to be compounded. Since this problem said it's going to be compounded, here's the words, annual interest compounded quarterly. Quarterly means it's going to be done 4 times throughout the year. So that means the N is 4, both in the exponent and in the denominator there. And the T is how much time she's putting this in there. So they said, what's the value of her investment after 3.5 years? That'd be a 3.5 right there. Now it's just a matter of just saying, okay, let's plug in the stuff in the calculator. I'll put a 3.5 there because it's saying the time is 3.5. That's what I plugged in for. So this calculation will tell me the amount she has after 3.5 years. The last thing I'm going to do is multiply all of this by 10,000. So what I will do in the parentheses is divide and then add by 1. In the exponent, I'll say 4 times 3.5, which is going to be 14 as an exponent there. And then you're going to divide 0.045 divided by 4 and add 1 to it. And that'll give you 1.01125. So you raise that to the 14th power and then multiply by 10,000. And you should end up with $11,695.52. Now, if you're having trouble figuring out how to put this in the calculator, depending on what kind of calculator you have, okay? If you did 1.01125, that's your base, if you type that in, some of you are going to have the y to the x button. There's a button on your calculator that has a y to the x. If you type in the base and then press that button, then you'll type in the 14. That's how you tell it to raise that to the 14th power. Some of you, though, are just looking for that little housetop looking button where you type that in, you say, okay, raise to the 14th power. Depending on what kind of calculator you're using, that's just how you go about figuring this out. You'll know you're right, though, if you end up with this number right here when you do the calculations.